Generally speaking, earning a title shot in a major MMA promotion requires a prolonged winning streak. Of course, there have been plenty of exceptions to the rule throughout the sport's relatively brief history. To drive the previous statement home, we're about to take a look at 10 title challengers who made the most of opportunities they probably didn't deserve. Now, without further ado, and ranked in no particular order, let's take a look at 10 undeserving title challengers who actually won the belt. Number 10. Brock Lesnar. As a well-known WWE superstar and NCAA All-American wrestler, Brock Lesnar entered the UFC with plenty of hype. Given his notoriety, the promotion immediately pitted Lesnar, who had just one pro fight on his resume, against former champion Frank Mir. When Lesnar met Mir for the first time at UFC 81, it appeared the hype train had been derailed, as the veteran submitted the newcomer in the very first round. To his credit, Lesnar came back with a vengeance and pummeled former Pride veteran Heath Herring at UFC 87 to pick up his first win in the organization. Despite a 1-1 record in the octagon and just 3 pro fights total to his credit, the promotion decided to book their new megastar in a title bout against the heavyweight champion Randy Couture. Though Lesnar's credentials may not have warranted a title shot, he ultimately capitalized on the opportunity. The challenger managed to stuff the Natural's takedowns and eventually secure a TKO victory in the second round. After winning the heavyweight strap, a relatively inexperienced Brock Lesnar had become one of the biggest attractions the sport has ever seen. Number 9. Juliana Pena. This past December, the Venezuelan vixen Juliana Pena pulled off one of the most improbable victories in recent memory when she submitted the great Amanda Nunes to become the new bantamweight champion. That said, it's easy to forget that Pena was just 2-2 before facing the Lioness, which was a big part of the reason why oddsmakers gave her little chance of dethroning the Brazilian powerhouse. Still, although her recent win-loss record didn't exactly scream title shot, the vixen did an excellent job of talking trash to promote a potential fight with the champion. As such, she was able to get the shot in a relatively shallow UFC women's bantamweight division. For the most part, Pena's insistence that she was a nightmare matchup was dismissed as a combination of fight promotion and wishful thinking. As it turned out, the former Ultimate Fighter winner was quite prophetic. Number 8. Matt Serra. The career of Matt the Terra Serra is one of the UFC's great comeback stories. After compiling a 4-4 record, the New York native was at a career crossroads and appeared destined to be a mostly forgotten mixed martial artist. Of course, all of that changed when Serra appeared on the 4th season of The Ultimate Fighter, which was branded The Comeback. The season featured journeymen and fighters who weren't under contract with the UFC competing for a shot at a title. While Serra became a tough champion, practically no one believed he had a prayer's chance of dethroning welterweight champion George Rush St. Pierre. After all, he had done nothing but beat a group of struggling fighters to earn the opportunity, and looked heavily overmatched on paper. Surprisingly, in what would go down as the greatest upset in the promotion's history, Serra stunned the MMA universe by knocking out GSP in the very first round to become one of the UFC's most unlikely champions. Number 7. Michael Chandler. In recent months, Iron Michael Chandler has established himself as an exciting contender in the UFC lightweight division. While he may be relatively new to the UFC, the former college wrestling standout made his name as a multi-time champion in Bellator MMA. He won his first Bellator title as an undefeated prospect who submitted his budding rival Eddie Alvarez. In their rematch at Bellator 106, Alvarez regained his title, avenging the loss, and handed Chandler his first professional setback by winning a hard-fought split decision. Beginning with his inaugural loss, Iron Mike would go 2-3 over the course of his next 5 bouts. However, when Bellator champion Will Brooks, a man who defeated Chandler twice, was released from the promotion, the title was vacated. Despite his 2-3 stretch, the 2 victories came in his most recent bouts. Moreover, with Brooks departing and Alvarez having left the promotion a couple years back, Chandler was one of the few big names left in the division. At Bellator 157 in June of 2016, Chandler came full circle, knocking out Patricky Pitbull in the first round to reclaim his crown. Number 6. Nate Marquardt. With a career that included a total of 58 pro fights, Nate the Great Marquardt has had his share of highs and lows in the cage. Perhaps the biggest high of his career came back in 2012 at a Strikeforce event where he finished an undefeated Tyron Woodley to become the promotion's welterweight champion. Interestingly enough, Marquardt was 2-2 in the last 4 contests before receiving the opportunity that resulted in winning a major title. On top of that, he was also making his promotional debut and had no prior experience competing in Strikeforce prior to receiving the title shot. While he came up short in his UFC title eliminators, the Wyoming native managed to capture gold in his first Strikeforce event. Number 5. Shoney Carter. Chicago's Shoney Carter rarely failed to leave an impression with his flashy attire and colorful personality. While his career is perhaps best remembered for the spinning back fist victory over Serra at UFC 31, the scrappy welterweight also captured a major world title. Back in October of 2003, when the promotion was in its infancy, Carter won the vacant WEC welterweight crown. He did so by beating a mostly forgotten fighter in JT Taylor. Still, it's somewhat surprising he was even chosen to compete for the gold, given he was 2-2-1 heading into the event. Still, Carter had some name recognition, having fought some well-known fighters like Pat Miletich at the UFC and capitalizing on his big chance at WEC 8. After a successful defense against Gabe Garcia at WEC 9, Shoney Carter's reign would come to an end in May of 2004, when he lost via unanimous decision to Karo Parisian. Number 4. Randy Couture. Randy the Natural Couture is a UFC Hall of Famer and one of the sport's all-time greats. However, one of his record-setting 6 title reigns came after consecutive losses in a division he had previously never competed in, light heavyweight. After back-to-back losses in heavyweight title fights with Josh Barnett and Rico Rodriguez, Couture decided to drop to light heavyweight. Despite being a divisional newcomer on a 2-fight skid, the Natural was immediately thrust into the title picture. The Iceman Chuck Liddell would be the man to welcome him to the new division in a contest for the interim title. Surprisingly, Couture would end up winning the bout via third-round TKO. The win would be the first in an epic trilogy that would take both Couture and Liddell's star power to new heights. Number 3. Doug Marshall. With 19 of his 26 pro fights ending by way of knockout, Doug the Rhino Marshall was a true kill or be killed type of fighter. Newer fans may remember the Rhino from his late career stint in Bellator MMA. However, the California-born striker enjoyed his greatest success while competing in World Extreme Cage Fighting in the mid to late 2000s. Marshall's crowning achievement would come at WEC 23, an event that saw him TKO Ladun Sincade in the second round to win the promotion's light heavyweight strap. Interestingly enough, Marshall had been knocked out himself in 2 of his 3 fights just prior to capturing the gold. That said, despite recent setbacks, Marshall's reputation as an exciting fighter managed to keep him in the title picture. Number 2. Maurice Smith. UFC Hall of Famer Maurice Smith was one of the first pure strikers to succeed in high-level mixed martial arts. Of course, this kickboxing specialist who burst on the scene in the mid-1990s shocked the world on July 27th in 1997. On that day, he pulled off a massive upset by dethroning undefeated UFC heavyweight champion Mark the Hammer Coleman. At UFC 14, Smith managed to survive Coleman's famed ground and pound and pick up a decision victory in a contest that won Fight of the Year honors. Despite winning the heavyweight title, few remembered Smith entered the contest with a 5-7 pro record, having lost 4 of his previous 6 matchups. Number 1. Jon Jones. Unlike our previous entrants, Jon Jones's undeserved title shot has nothing to do with his win-loss record. After all, the ultra-talented light heavyweight has never truly been defeated inside the octagon. That said, Jones had done plenty outside the cage that should have given the UFC pause when it came to inserting him into the title picture. As many fans know, the multi-time world champ was suspended 3 times for various out-of-cage offenses, ranging from a hit-and-run conviction involving a pregnant woman to multiple failed drug tests. Yet, each time Jones returned from suspension, he was immediately given a title shot, which isn't exactly the best message to send to the rest of the roster if you're the UFC. After returning from his 3rd suspension, Jones faced a man who had previously taken him to the limit, Alexander Gustafsson. The two would compete for the vacant light heavyweight title at UFC 232. Their second match was far less competitive than the first, with the New York native winning via 3rd-round KO. While it's been far from smooth sailing, Jones has yet to be suspended for the 4th time. As always, if you guys enjoyed the video, please be sure to let me know by leaving a like and subscribing to our channel. Apart from that, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.